What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike 2164. Press the like button, press the share. Just coming real quick this in the morning, just to hit up a couple of subjects and talk. Just basics. Variety of subjects, whatever comes to mind. I've seen this movie, they cloned Tyrone. Started off kind of slow, but it's pretty good actually. Ended up pretty good. What basically, it was interesting. So we can get into that. We can talk about some other stuff. Of course, there's always voting stuff, politics, and all this crap. People want to talk about that, and that's cool. But really, to me, if you're not doing reparations, I don't really need to concern myself with you. They got Carly Russell. They're making her a distraction. To me, any girl that take a picture like this when you're facing multiple felony, and this is your mugshot, something's wrong with her mentally. And so instead of sending her to jail and prison, which is what they really want to do to make slaves out of black people, she just needs to be dealt with like any crazy person. Send her to, what you call that? Therapy. See what's wrong with her. So Jamie Foxx, he did his, he did a picture. Jamie Foxx comes back. He said he's fine. He did a video. He broke some of his silence because after he took certain medical advice from people just because he wanted to do his new movie, which they were requiring, maybe that they felt like that was supposed to be his last movie. I don't know. But you know how they want to promote something when somebody passed away. But no, let's see. So we can talk about this too. Men think that a woman cannot raise her son into a man and only feels that it's only a man's job to do is ridiculous. But yet they don't want to stick around to raise them same kids. People say something is ridiculous without even no logical thought, So we'll see. Yeah. So let me go into this. See, in this movie here, and like I said, this is just going to be real quick. I'm just getting back through. I've been real busy working, just doing a lot of stuff. Actually, I've been feeling a little under the weather too. So it's not really that I'm kind of getting into all of this, getting back into conversations. Make sure you guys check out my brother BMT. He's been having a lot of great content over there. He's been putting together a lot of good informed information, And so let's go over here and check. Let's do a screen share. 1 second. Yeah, and my main thing here with this movie, with this particular movie, it started off real stereotypical, which I didn't like, but it actually ends up being real good because it tells you a lot of a lot of the people who think things are conspiracy theories. It ends up kind of giving you some information on some of that. Basically, like, what would y'all do if you found out that these conspiracy theorists, people who was telling you what about the bad about the food, people who's telling you they're doing experiments on black folks, people who's telling you that they're controlling the behavior of people inside the community through environment? What would you do if you found out that stuff was true? And that basically that these people were clones. They keep reproducing the same type of person. So you got to keep manufacturing that drug dealer, manufacturing that hooker hoe, manufacturing that mammy, manufacturing the coon. These are the characters that you got to keep reproducing. And they basically clone these folks out of black folks with behaviors and the pimps, all that kind of thing. And then install them right back into the community because that's how you do it to keep it destabilized because you can keep running your experiments. So a lot of people thought it was just fun. And of course, a lot of people would deny it that these people experiments. So they're doing experiments on people. But I just want people to understand that, doing experiments is really not a big deal. They're doing experiments on people, but also doing experiments underground. Now, this is what they will tell you. This is what they will tell you. Like I said, make sure y'all see what's up with my brother BMT. I just wanted y'all to see this.
The scale of what?
All right, so this shows you here, just saying, inside the deepest underground lab in the US. Okay, so basically, they're taking you inside of a lab that's underground. Now, keep in mind, they spend money on this. And as they do this, I want you to think about while you're dealing with your life above ground and worried about politics and, who's going to get elected for president, this stuff is going on regardless of who you elect. So
this is the Sanford Underground Research Facility.
Now hold on a second here. I do need to say, hold on a second here. We're going to give the fair use disclaimer. We're doing fair use. This is just under the Copyright Act of Section 107. We're doing this to teach. So that's what we're doing here, fair use. Let's go through some of this. I want to hit a couple of these clips.
The deepest underground lab in the United States. It's a converted mine where more than 10 experiments are being conducted. Experiments that can only take place far beneath the surface of the Earth. We will tour 3 different labs where scientists are studying dark matter, the nature of neutrinos, and geothermal energy. Finally, we'll look at the construction of one of the largest particle physics experiments in the world. This is Wired Field Trip. 4,850 feet below the surface, researchers make their way to their experiments every
So I need y'all to understand 4,850 feet underground. Did y'all know they built this? Did they announce when they built this thing, when they were building this? Just so you know.
On the deepest level, you might think that scientists are studying the Earth's core, but instead, these physicists need nearly a mile of rock to shield their experiments from the sun and space. First up, the Lux Zeppelin experiment, a dark matter detector known as LZ.
So now, think about how much money they're spending to detect something that they never detected, that it's not here. Dark matter is just something they think should be there because of their calculations of the universe's mass. They think it should be there. So they just came up with it and they're trying to detect it. And this is how much money they will spend on this.
Is a dark matter experiment trying to directly detect the dark matter particles that we think are flying through the Earth all the time.
So, what exactly is dark matter?
We think we know as a species how much stuff there is in our universe, but it turns out that the stuff that we understand, the stuff that makes us up, me up, the things that you see around me, is only about 5% of that total. So 95% of the universe's content.
So instead of realizing that they just have a bad calculation, this is what they do. I just want y'all to see that's part of the experiments. So, but just remember, it's underground. This ain't the only thing. So when you see they clone Tyrone, they show you underground labs. It's not that far-fetched. Let's go through here too. So they do this 4,850 feet underground. Here's another one they're doing.
For a concept known as neutrinoless double beta decay. Neutrinoless double beta decay is a very, very rare decay that can happen only in a handful of isotopes. If some of these particles vanish during the decay, it would give us a hint of how the universe could be created.
The theory that Ralph's team is working on is that neutrinos, the subatomic particle smaller than electrons, are their own antiparticle. In order to study this theory, the demonstrator is even more sensitive than the LZ dark matter detector.
So in order to study, they just divert millions and billions of dollars to study theories. And you can't hardly get no money to buy your house and pay for your bills. Just so you know. And it's hard to get black folks reparations. But it doesn't matter what's happening in politics. These things are still going to go on. And, a lot of us not aware of it. There's other experiments happening too underground, but that's just pretty interesting. Here they go.
You have to enter a clean room. The principle is the same as the LZ shield layers, reduce background radiation. Even human bodies give off radiation. That's why the researchers are decked out in personal protective equipment, including our crew.
Here we are at the Majorana clean room, and we're going to look at the detector today and see how it's made.
In the LZ experiment, the element the physicists were hoping to see reactions in.
And there's a few thousands of them installed in the. I love it. It's going to be a lifelong pursuit for me, I hope.
The researchers are entering the next phase of the Majorana demonstrator project, which will go on for another couple of years. Let's get out of the 4850 and go to another level.
Welcome to the 4100, where we're studying geothermal energy.
Hunter and Paul are part of one of the biggest geothermal research projects in the country.
Geothermal's been around for a long time, and people have learned over the last few hundred years that they could use the earth to both heat and cool their house. And they did this through technology called geothermal heat pumps. This research focuses on a different kind of geothermal energy, and that is called EGS, or Enhanced Geothermal Systems.
Basically, not every country can be like Iceland, where there's a high concentration of volcanoes. The next generation of geothermal research is exploring the technology of hydraulic fracturing.
So the idea for EGS is quite simple, actually. You drill two wells side by side, you create a fracture that connects these two wells, and then you can circulate water from the surface down the borehole through the fracture and produce steam or hot fluid out of the other borehole. And that is where the energy comes from. Now just imagine you set those boreholes up like a radiator and you put fractures one right after the other. Now you have something that could produce power for tens of millions of people.
EGS Collab is
Now you fractured the earth in places where it hasn't been fractured in billions of years. And now you got a weak spot where volcanoes can form. Okay. This is what they do. This is the kind of stuff these people do. They spend a bunch of money doing it. But guess what? Of course, they're not telling us everything, right? Of course, they're not telling us everything. What else is going on under there? Yeah. So anyway, like I said before, I just wanted to kind of come on there with the movie. This here. So if you notice on that little clip, they have a dark-skinned prisoner. And then what happens is he's going to get sick. Instead of killing him with electrocution, what you do is you put all sorts of chemicals in him, in his toothpaste, in his care products, and you mess up his mind to where he wants to lighten his skin. And then he also wants to come out a different gender. He wants to change his gender. That was, this was the objectives way back. When you see something on anywhere, it's somebody's job to try to make sure that can actually happen. Just like you see here, stuff that these people will spend money on to try to do, finding neutrinos and dark matter and stuff that don't exist. They will still spend billions and billions of dollars. You think they're not spending billions and billions and millions of dollars on population controls? That's what you're seeing here. So that's part of what this they clone Tyrone thing is about. That's what that is, population control. Yep. And so, like I said, guys, I just wanted to come through real quick. Let me know what you think. What you think about all the money being spent on these research. Who is this information going to benefit? What about the projects they're not telling you about? Have they spent money to research how to control and how to manipulate people's minds, and control large populations? Just let us know what you're thinking, and peace out.